It's Thursday, August 15th, and you're listening to the Geek at Geek News Central, the longest continuously running tech podcast. This is show number 882, sponsored in part by GoDaddy.com. Our August GoDaddy special customers get 32% off your order at GoDaddy.com by using the promo code GO32OFF1. Or get a .com for $2.49. Geek News Central is the proud member of the Tech Podcast Network. Hey, folks, it's good to be back here in the studio. We got a lot to share with you. Running just a little bit late, getting started tonight. You know what comes next. Strap in. Here it comes.
All right, people, I need a go, no-go for the Geek News Central podcast. Digital archive recorders.
We're go fly.
Microphone.
We're go fly.
Video feed.
Go.
Web browser.
Go.
RSS data stream aggregator.
Go fly.
Interflux Toddism suppressor.
All right, I'm confused.
Host readiness check.
Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show.
Voice ready confirmed.
The Geek News Central podcast is a proud member of the Tech Podcast Network. If it's tech, it's here. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are ready to go. Cue Todd in
5,
Button, who's got the button?
4,
There is no cause for alarm.
3,
Everybody hold on to something.
2,
Just press the button.
1.
Aloha and welcome to Geek News Central, coming to you from the beautiful studio here overlooking Greater Honolulu. Everyone, welcome to the show. Yes, I am rusty. I am very rusty tonight and actually a little bit rushed, if you can tell. So we're coming to you from the beautiful state of Hawaii here in the Geek News Central studio overlooking Greater Honolulu. How about that? And for all of our longtime listeners, thanks for being here and thanks for being a part of the family. And of course, we want to encourage you to all of you to take time and get over to geeknewscentral.com. Check out all our great content. I tell you, we've got some great writers on the website that have been doing really an amazing amount of work, putting up great content. So you'll definitely want to go over to the website and check things out. And while you're over there, get subscribed to the show as well. And you can sign up for the newsletter. Really what we do with the newsletter is that once the show is over, I punch out an email that goes to everyone that's subscribed. And you'll get all the show notes. And, of course, you can always find the show notes at gncshow.com and in this show /882. And you can pick those up. And, of course, if you're in the mailing list, you're just going to get them delivered directly via email. So, Ohana and listeners around the world, hey, we've got a great show lined up for you tonight. I got a lot to catch up with. It's been a week. A week ago this time, basically, we were getting ready to head out. I was going to go to the mainland on a quick trip. And we'll talk about that more here in a few minutes. But obviously, there was no show on Monday. So all the more to really get caught up on. But for those of you new to the show, hey, make sure you check us out on the Roku, on the Boxee, Samsung Smart TV, Google TV. You can watch this show on the Chromecast by just coming over to the website on your Chrome browser, starting the video play, and then basically punching it to Chromecast. That'll work. And, of course, we're part of the Tech Podcast Network here. And encourage you to go over to techpodcast.com and check out all the shows over there, all family safe. We had to get rid of a couple of shows last couple of weeks ago because they basically were no longer child safe. They didn't have that G rating anymore, so we asked them to depart the scene. But that's kind of the way it works over there. We want to make sure the content is family safe, and we take feedback from the audience very, very seriously. Of course, we're up on YouTube tonight, and those of you that are watching on YouTube, thanks for being here. I see Brian's in the chat room. Brian, welcome to the show. And I know we always have more people come in than it's actually up on the in the live chat because some folks are over on the YouTube website as well. So I tell you, we got a lot going on here, but more importantly, the first thing right off the bat is we want to talk about our great sponsor over at GoDaddy.com. GoDaddy has been a mainstay of this show for many, many years, and we put together deals all the time for you. And they came through, of course, this month just as well with a great deal. And you can get 32% off your total order, off your new order at GoDaddy. And you can find all my promo codes and all my deals for GoDaddy on the main website. And all you got to do really is, it's a piece of cake, is go over and click on the GoDaddy promo code link and that takes you to the page that has all the promotion codes. We've got that $2.49.com special going on. I'm going to tell you that's a deal. It really, really is. The renewals on .coms, you can get those for $8.49 by using the promo code COMSALE3. But it's all about savings and taking care of getting you guys the best deal when you're shopping over at GoDaddy. We can also get you that new .com with a free year of private registration. That promo code is a FREE2, FREE2. Can't beat that. I love stuff when it's almost free. It's kind of I kind of laughed because I said this. So when we were getting ready to kick this month off, I said, it's not really a free offer. He said, oh, you get the free private registration. I said, okay. Free means give me the whole enchilada. So we can't just give everything away. So, but definitely want to check them out. And, of course, GoDaddy hosts the Geek News Central website. And what we'll do is when you click on the banner at the top of the page at Geek News Central, of course, there's a banner ad for Danica up there. When you go over to the GoDaddy website, what's going to happen is you're going to be in a portion of the website it's kind of express. So what happens is if you search for a new domain, you find one, and you click checkout, you're going to be almost instantly transformed into the checkout counter. You're not going to have to go through the juggernaut of offers that they offer you, basically their upsell stuff. And so definitely check that out. And the promo code's Geek249 if you're just over on the website. And actually, I got an email from someone the other day that was selling some, getting ready to sell some domains. And they had said, hey, give you first shot at them. And I asked the price, and they were, for what they were a little overpriced. And so I just by chance went to the auction site to see if they'd already been listed. And sometimes this happens. People on false pretense say that they have control of a domain, and then it's actually on the auction site. And, they had offered, basically quoted me like a 4-digit figure, and they were on the website for like $12.95. So I scooped them up at $12.95 each, and that was an exceptionally good deal. So if you're looking for domains, you can't find one on the GoDaddy website itself, go over to the auction site. There's often great domains over there to be picked up for little for nothing. I got to share with you guys a little something. My daughter is a senior, officially a senior this year, so it's going to be a fun year for her. But they got home this evening a little bit later than normal. And while I was jumping in the shower, she said, I'm going to go hang out in your studio. And she came in here, and she was hanging out. And so after I got out of the shower and got around and came in here and kicked her out, I was getting everything ready, and I saw basically in my screen, and those of you that are watching, I'm going to do something I should never do, but there was this, and if you guys can see this is what I saw. And what it is, it's a little Lego man that, and of course I shouldn't be doing that, but it was a little Lego man that she had put up right in the on the camera screen. And it was kind of funny because I looked at it on the TriCaster and I said, what is that? And of course she was hanging out in the background, and she got a good giggle for Dad discovering her little trick. But I thought you guys would get a kick out of it too, because it actually kind of looks pretty cool when it's sitting up there. So anyway, what your kids will do to keep you entertained, there's always a laugh a minute. Hey, I just want to give you a heads up, though. My trip to the mainland was really incredible. It was a fast one. Left really during the weekend. We got out there Monday, met up with some other folks, and then had about a 4-hour meeting at our location, and it was good. And what I really wanted to talk about for just a few minutes, and we'll get into the tech content because there's a lot of tech news tonight that I need to get through, and some science stuff as well, and Prenda's in the news as well. So we'll get into all that here in a few minutes. But obviously it was the meeting was about podcasting, and we'd really shook the space up a couple weeks ago announcing our GNC certified stats, and really there's been a lot of how should I say it, positive feedback, a lot of it coming privately from major networks. We have, I think, 5 or 6 major networks up using basically doing test accounts, and we're going to start closing deals next week and having people come up and be customers on the system. And really the end goal is to, obviously provide a great service for those that we work with, but also to continue to, and they basically continue to vet us. And this was a little bit part of this trip out, was had a little bit of a roundtable discussion about what's going on in the space. And I really can't go into the full details of the meetings and who I met with and everything else. But let me just say this, the space is alive and well. And there's a lot of excitement right now. And matter of fact, I really kind of walked away, and a couple of people that we were with, we went off and had dinner, and we were saying this feels like 2005 all over again. And because that was when everything started to rocket ship in the space. And I really feel confident that there's going to be a lot of cool announcements coming the rest of the year. And you as an audience of this show, of course, you guys are, used to me talking about this through the years. But I think we're on the cusp of something very, very big. And just the right makeup of people are in the space right now. And I think it's a good thing. So anyway, well worth a trip. I apologize I wasn't here on Monday, but, re-energizes me for this show. It really does. It really makes me like, let's go harder. And of course, I got back and it's been a full week. The phone, literally, I checked my minutes on my iPhone today because I can't remember when the time rolls over. I wanted to see where we were at, and actually, we don't have to worry. We're on an unlimited plan, so I was good. But it was just it's been basically a Bluetooth in my ear or in my car. It's been crazy. So that's a sign of good things, and we're moving forward. All right, so enough on the business part of it, but on Saturday, we're going to have our new media show, and Rob and I are going to welcome Rachel Eaton from Stitcher. Rachel and I know each other. We've seen each other and talked many times at like the new Media Expo and so forth, so she's going to be on the show on Saturday. So be exciting to hear what they're doing in the space and what they're doing to promote the offerings they have on Stitcher, and maybe we'll get some insight of what they're doing as well. So we'll keep you up on that. But just want to keep this thing live, want to keep us mixed up, want to keep us moving forward today. And so we're not going to waste a lot of time beyond this. And we're going to go right ahead and get into the full stack of content that I have for you. And I do have a bunch of stuff. And I actually had to, for a better word, cull, C-U-L-L, cull a number of stories out tonight before we got started. And I tell you, it's interesting when the show is on an upswing, in which we are right now. We've seen a huge number of people come into the show. It's the email dynamic changes a little bit. And I have a couple of interesting emails to share with you this afternoon, or later after when we get further in the show. And yes, I do destroy the English language. It is a known fact in this show at 882 episodes that I literally destroy every facet of the English language, and I may make up words, I may distort them, I may use them in absolutely the wrong way. But guess what? It's a podcast, and hey, it's someone. It bothers some folks a lot, and I apologize if it bothers you, But when you are doing an hour and 15 minutes by yourself, and you are trying to keep the ball rolling, and try to keep you guys excited, and try to keep you jammed in here, and staying and listening and not leaving, when I say irregardless instead of regardless, I don't know. I just like, it's not a real world irregardless, but I like saying it. I don't know why. You guys will catch on when we read the email later. But and yes, I still sometimes when I write stuff, I use there and there wrong. And I probably should listen to Grammar Girl over at Quick and Dirty Tips but oftentimes it's a matter of just I'm so crazy busy and I want to pound something out real quick and put something out, and then you read it later and you're like, oh, that was dumb. But hey, I love you guys. I hope you guys continue to listen, and those of you that cringe every time and scream and pull your hair out when I say something incorrectly, just don't lose too much hair, okay? Because I love you guys anyway. All right, so let's talk a little bit about what's going on in the space. Boy, it's been a lot going on this week. But evidence is starting to stack up that Prenda Law, of course, we've talked a lot about Prenda here over the past several months, has been operating, this big surprise here, a honeypot in order to lure internet users into downloading copyrighted materials. And of course, then what do? They go and they sue them, right? Well, the Pirate Bay actively helped expose the copyright troll in question, and they went into their archives, and they had to pull stuff out of the stuff that had been basically pulled off the site. And so anyway, what they did was they published the IPs of this one specific. Basically, they had this user called that kept posting Shark MP4, and so the Pirate Bay went and he found the IP address that Shark MP4 used to upload the torrent files. Now, Torrent Bay has a policy, like we said, about they keep the IPs for 4 days and they wipe them. But whatever they did, they were able to get this. And then one of the lawyers that's in part of the discovery process with Prenda right now subpoenaed Comcast and was able to get Comcast to basically reveal who Shark MP4 was. And from Comcast, it says that the subscriber's name was Steele Hansmeier, PLLC, out of Minneapolis, and gave his account and their MAC address and everything else. But long story short, as we have been talking about here over the past several months, Steele Hansmeier, PLLC, is part of the Prenda Group, and it's one of the folks that are involved in all this crazy stuff that's been going on with them. So this is kind of funny, and what we found here, or what they found. So this is going to go into the court case. Now, not to be outdone, the folks at GoDaddy basically were apparently subpoenaed as well, and that they showed that and of course, are these names familiar? If you guys have been listening, you'll know Alan Cooper, Mark Lutz, John Steele. These are all names that Prenda has been using, some of them falsely. But apparently, this individual who basically, and these were recorded, I guess, tech support calls, and I didn't know that they were actually doing that, but it was provided in a court exhibit. But during examination, this individual identifying himself as John Steele, John Steele Associates, Mark Lutz, all the same guy. So basically he's setting up multiple accounts. And so anyway, they were able to kind of track back some of the stuff that they'd been doing, some of the domains that they had registered under a variety of names, businesses, and so, they're all just building this case against them, and all this is basically coming out at this point. But there's pretty interesting movement here, and Prenda has got themselves dug in so deep. You just wonder at what point this is going to break, and this is going to turn into a different type of case where some folks are actually going to get some serious jail time. Time will tell, but interesting move here where GoDaddy now has got some stuff going on with Team Prenda, and basically they're being the domain holder and being subpoenaed for information and so forth. But very interesting. Now, those of you that live in the United States, we got some budget issues, right? It's not like the Treasury has a lot of spare cash these days. They're furloughing federal workers. They sequestration. They cut a bunch of money. There's a lot of stuff going on. So how do you guys feel when it's being reported that the U.S. State Department basically spent $690,000 to buy Facebook likes? Now, this was a government campaign to spend money taxpayers' money to basically try to get more Facebook likes on its site, and it prompted workers to complain to a watchdog. The U.S. State Department, which has the slogan Diplomacy in Action, spent the $690,000 and tried to buy fans in social media, the agency's inspector general said in a report. Now, wait a minute. This was reported by news.com.au. So it was 690,000 Australian, or US 630,000. So we're clear here. But the State Department's Bureau of International Information Programs spent the money to increase its like counts in 2011. Basically, they during the time that they were spending this, they went from 100,000 to more than 2 million, and to 450,000 on Facebook's foreign language site. So they essentially, for 630,000 US dollars, were able to buy about 2.4 million Facebook likes. You know, that's a great return on investment, don't you think? Wow. Now, despite the increase, the IG that basically investigated this said that the spending did not reach the Bureau's target audience, mainly older and more influential people. And only about 2% of the department's fans engage with the page by liking, sharing, or commenting. So this kind of stuff just has to, make you grind your teeth, doesn't it? It does mine, but that's your taxpayer dollars at work. $690,000 trying to get people to like their government page. No one likes the government. Oh, my goodness. All right. Today, there's a big war between basically Google/YouTube/Microsoft. And basically, Microsoft introduced a new YouTube app for its Windows Phone. And very shortly thereafter, Google basically blocked their API. And so the folks at Microsoft are not happy, and they've come out with some pretty strong language. This was a blog post that was posted by David Howard, a corporate vice president and deputy general counsel for litigation and antitrust at Microsoft. So, this guy's got a heck of a title, probably got a heck of a paycheck. But basically, he's saying that, Google is not playing fair. They're asking Microsoft to do something that is not being required on their own Android app or on iOS. And Google is saying that they're not complying with their terms and conditions. And Microsoft says what Google really means is that our app is not based on HTML5. And, of course, they say the problem with this argument, of course, is that Google is not complying with this condition for Android and iPhone. But they go on to say, again, we're happy to collaborate with Google on an HTML5 app, but shouldn't be required to do something that apparently neither iPhone nor Android has successfully figured out how to do. So this just to me looks like a power play. It really, really does by Google. And, of course, do no evil, right? Do no evil over at Google. When I talk about a Gmail article here a little bit in a few minutes, you guys are going to be, well, actually, it's up next. There was a mild panic over the internet today when people figured out via a Google legal brief that basically said Gmail users have no expectation of privacy when they use their service. I think we all know that Google probably knows each and every one of us, if we use their website on a regular basis, probably better than our wives, probably better than our girlfriends, family members, and so forth. They have such a profile on us that they probably could tell us a little bit about ourselves and our personalities. So, people are really freaking out. Well, how do you think that they're putting ads in Gmail? How do you think that they are, targeting you with stuff? Because they're going through and, basically indexing your email. Don't be surprised. This is, what do you think for a free service? Now, a lot of people aren't happy with this, but, if you're not happy with it, you go somewhere else and get a different service. Make sure you remember to read the terms of service anywhere you go. And, Google knows what's in your calendar. It looks at your photos and knows who your friends are. And that's just via its in-house services. And what they're going to be doing more in the near term is they're going to be targeting more stuff at you when you go and they're trying to anticipate what you're going to search for on google.com based upon what's in your email, what's in your photos, what's in your schedule, and everything else. So if they see that you've got labeled vacation in your calendar, they're going to flag that. So next time you're going to type in Florida, Florida sites, they're going to say, oh, Todd's going on vacation to Florida. Let's give him some vacation sites. And they're going to target that very radically at you and based upon what's in your calendar, maybe what's in a photo or so forth. So don't be surprised. And if you were expecting privacy, sorry. Now, we use a commercial service and pay for our commercial service. So the terms are a little different, but I'm sure a push comes to shove, they probably dig around in that as well. I got an email a couple of times. One last week, one today. It was from a company that's well known on the internet. I've interviewed them at CES. They'd have internet-based magazines, and basically I'm all for companies wanting to basically reach out and say, hey, well, here's something, if you want to give away some magazines to your audience, feel free. But it really bothers me when a company's big like this, that they are going out and they're essentially bribing bloggers and podcasters to promote their product and then give them a little magazine. And I basically, I wrote back and said, I'm really insulted that you would want me to promote your app, your service, the magazines you have, give you some airtime, give out 9 free magazines to my audience members, and keep one for myself. $13.95 is not my audience and is not this show. And they were doing this to a bunch of people, so it wasn't just me. But I just made a point. I said, if you want to have me talk about your product in a serious way, and I actually use their service, so it's not something that I'm negative against. I've had like Scientific American, a couple of other magazines that I get through their service, and I'm not going to say their name on the show, obviously, but because of this email thing. But I said, why don't you guys do an awareness campaign? Why don't you come on and sponsor a couple of episodes? I'll send you over a quote. You guys can come to the table with some real cash, and you basically can, you can get some real exposure here. Well, they didn't respond. They have this blogger outreach that, once again, are buying the souls and hearts of podcasters and bloggers for the price of a cup of coffee, and, so many bloggers are willing to just bend over backwards and kiss their butt for for something that's, like a Starbucks latte or something, okay? So, and plus that type of stuff I have to claim on my taxes if I keep it. So if they gave me the magazine and I gave 9 away, if the magazine cost $24.95, that's income for me. And by IRS rules, I have to claim that. And, sorry, it's not worth it. It really is. Now, if you want to pay me the cash, give me my advertising rate for the show, it's good. But so what really kind of led me to talk about this is I saw an article today on GigaOM that talks about a company called Tastemade, and they got $10 million to turn food bloggers into the next Bobby Flay. Now, this is a video startup that wants to change. Basically, they're going to be introducing an iPhone app. It's kind of a picture of Vine, Yelp, and a mobile TV. And they're basically trying to get food bloggers to come on board and record reviews about their restaurants and really trying to get people to, to promote their content through this app. It's very smart in what they're doing again. But here again, you're going to have food bloggers. And I don't claim to be a food blogger, even though we've got a basically a small food site that we post to like once every 6 months. Quite literally, it's not well maintained. So here's the question. They're smart because some of these folks want exposure, but I think if you're going to be promoting your content or your food review on an app or on a network, you need to have your own point of presence. So be curious to see how this really kind of kicks off, and I'll be looking at it real close to see how they're out making money and everything else. But content is king right now. There's so many people wanting content. You think about the amount of content that's being put up on YouTube and the stuff that's being put together like this show and other shows, and yet there's still a lack of good content. And so everyone's looking for the next star and for the next viral thing to help their business. So we'll keep an eye on Tastemade. If you're a food lover, you may want to check them out. If you do food blogging, please do as well. Now imagine, let's really switch gears here. Imagine that you are at home. The door gets kicked in by the federal government. They tell you to lay on the floor. They handcuff you. They take your computers and your hard drives away from you, and basically accuse you of having some type of material on your machines that you shouldn't have. And your hard drives are encrypted, and they say, we want you to decrypt your hard drives. We want you to put the password in and do so. And when you refuse, well, at some point you are, there's no evidence at this time because they don't have no physical evidence. So imagine, you went through that process and you have pending charges coming if they can get into your hard drive and find the material that you're looking for. Now, I'm just using this as a hypothetical, but what's really happened is the feds believe a child porn suspect will finally decrypt his hard drive. Now, what they have done is they seized 10 of his hard drives, and they just recently have been able to get 2 of his hard drives decrypted. They found material on there. They arrested him. He's in jail. His bail was set at $100,000, and he obviously faces decades behind bars. So the prosecutors basically said, "Hey, we want you to unlock the rest." And this guy's like, "No, I'm invoking my my Fifth Amendment here," and once again, we're in one of these situations where someone they've already got some evidence against him, probably enough to prosecute him. But what's on the other 7, they want him to unlock. Say, well, it would be easier on you if you. Who in their right mind? And let's just change the content. So obviously we don't like these types of disgusting people on the face of the earth. We want them locked up and put away. So, but let's think this is your scanned baseball collection, okay? Whatever the content is, whether it be tax returns or financial papers, who in their right mind is going to unlock their own, give them the password, and decrypt their hard drive with knowing that the content within is going to incriminate them? So this is huge. This is another case that's going forward, and so the EFF filed a court briefing opposing a forced decryption order. Now, as much as this type of content this individual has on his hard drives disgust us, we also have to understand that if you get arrested and they ask you questions, hey, you don't have to say nothing. You have the right to remain silent, right? Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. So, if you are guilty, you're not going to talk to your prosecutor or to the police or to the feds to give them more information to put you away longer, right? Now, if they put a deal on the table and say, hey, we're going to give you a reduced sentence if you unlock the hard drives, and we won't use any of this data against you, but you're going to have to cooperate with us, that's one thing. But for them to say, oh, you got to unlock that, and no. Now, so this is just a warning to all of you out there. And again, we don't want any of those, and I'm not defending what this guy has done. Don't get me wrong on this, okay? But what we want is we want our constitutional rights protected, right? And there's so much of this has been going on with everything else that's been in the news over the past number of months. It's just one more attack on our rights to basically say, hey, go ahead and incriminate yourself. Well, someone would have to be insane to do that. So, love to hear you guys' thoughts on really on what do you think? If you're in that situation and it's the material might be your business related or writings that you have or whatever it may be, do you really think that the federal government has basically the withdrawal that basically says you have to incriminate yourself? Love to hear feedback. I'll have the link up to this in the show notes. There's an article over on Wired that goes into this, but this guy's going to get some time, as he should, and pay for his crimes. But at the same time, I think we all have to understand that he has the right to remain silent. We all can understand his wanting to do so. All right, switching gears here. Twitter is eyeing scam-busting signatures. Twitter has been examining a real-time protection system that in research crushed 90% of the scammer accounts as they were created. The system was developed by security researchers who spent 10 months studying the underground Twitter scam market. It applied signatures built on elements like account names, the timing of the account creation, and browser identifiers to identify fake accounts. Basically, every time you go somewhere with a browser, your IP is dropped on the site. There's lots of little telltale signs. So these researchers from the National Computer Science Institute at UC Berkeley said the new system was used by Twitter after the research to take down 95% of several million fake accounts that were created by a mere 27 shady merchants. So this is kind of an interesting move here. And the accounts were also used to sell fake followers, a service which was recently revealed to have been purchased by unknown persons to inject some 70,000 followers into the Twitter account of opposition leader Tony Abbott. I don't know who he is. But so basically these folks were able to spend money to have these fake accounts, fake tweet accounts following them. And, so basically people spent all this money, and then Twitter basically come and said, oh, we know how to detect them, and deleted them. So that was the money that they just flushed down the toilet. But anyway, very, very cool write-up here, and I'll have the link up in the show notes. You guys can check it out. Google admits Bitcoin thieves exploited Android crypto, a PRNG flaw. The theft of 55 Bitcoins, or about $5,720, through Android wallet apps last week was made possible because of flaws in Android's Java and OpenSSL crypto PRNG. Google revealed this in a blog post in the wake of a Bitcoin security advisory and semantic vulnerability report. The Android developer blog admitted the reason thieves were able to pilfer their wallet apps. So the flaws are already in the process of being repaired. So don't keep your Bitcoins on your Android, whatever you do. Or you may not have any Bitcoins left over. I tell you, whenever there's news that there's been gains in the cord cutter market, you all of a sudden see all kinds of news articles that are coming up. Hey, the cable industry's doing great. They're growing subscribers. They're not going anywhere. There's all kinds of happiness with the cable providers. Surveys say this, surveys say that. You have a multi-billion-dollar market that does not want their business to go away, doesn't want it to fade, don't want people to cut their cord, so they have to make themselves look big and growing. Do any of us anymore believe that data that's being released on success and consumer satisfaction of the cable providers is true when it's positive? No one's happy about their cable bill. Let's be straight up. That's just a fact of life. If you're happy with your cable bill, it's because you don't have one. That's what that's about. All right, let's go over and talk a little bit about some cars, specifically the Ford. Ford has basically lowered the mile per gallon estimate for the C-Max hybrid, and basically has given cash to owners to make them happy. So what they found was that Ford had basically published that they were getting near 47 miles per gallon on city and or highway combined, and basically the driver said, "Hey, we're not getting that." So the EPA has went in and revised the economy value on the 2013 C-Max hybrid. The label now will be 43 miles per gallon city, and highway economy estimates will be revised down from 45 to 40 miles per gallon. So basically, Ford has basically said, "Hey, we're sorry that the numbers weren't what we said they were, and we hope that you'll be happy because we know that you're planning on saving this amount of money over the lifetime of the vehicle and fuel." So basically, what they feel is that the difference is the estimated average fuel cost that the folks would have, the savings they would have gained. So this is kind of an interesting move. So if you've got a 2013 Ford C-Max hybrid, make sure you get a hold of your Ford dealer. They got to check for you. Now, if you're leasing, you don't get as much. You get $325, but if you own one, you get $550. You know, one thing that I always hated when I was active duty in the Navy, when you wanted to travel, you had to use what they call DTS, Defense Travel System, and it basically was it forced you, and what it really did was it ensured that the taxpayer dollars were being spent wisely. So, for example, if I was going to fly from here in Honolulu to let's say Dallas. Normally, the cheapest route probably would have been on American. If you had flew American out of Hawaii, you'd get to Dallas on a direct flight, and it would usually be the cheapest. So the service member or government employee is forced to, quote unquote, choose the lowest fare. You basically have no choice, and if you picked a fare that is higher, then it required like some major sign off by some high end supervisor. So it really didn't happen. You had to follow these very specific rules, and it would book cars and it would book the hotel rooms for you. Make sure that you stayed in the government rate. Made sure that the car that you got was a compact, and you're not going for a luxury vehicle unless you were authorized a midsize or so forth, or if you're with a party, large group, you could get a van. So it drove me nuts because all of us, no matter where we work, we want to be able to fly the same airline, right? And so what you'd have to do in this defense travel system is you would have to get in, and if you could find a route within the system, not external, you couldn't go to a private website, but if you could find a route that was basically cheaper. Let's say, for example, if I knew that the round trip from Honolulu to Dallas on American was posted on the defense travel website is let's say $700, and then I clicked the alternate button and there was a United flight listed in there for, let's say, $650, I could choose the United flight based upon a couple of factors. Number one, if the time that you got there fit better, or number two, basically saving the government money by having a cheaper ticket. And they would always approve a cheaper ticket. So it was always kind of funny because we were always looking at different routes and where you could go, and basically try to find your airline, but yet stay underneath that dollar amount that they set. They basically say you can't. This is the amount, and sometimes you couldn't even do that because they would have what they called a contract carrier, and the contract carrier you were forced to use, so you had no choice. You had to take that specific flight. And it was really, oftentimes, you would never find a flight cheaper than what was listed there. So, long story short, you had to use this system to book your airline tickets. Now, many of you that probably work in business, you have corporate policy. Maybe you've got corporate travel agents, or you are told you will go through American Express, or you will go through Expedia. You're told very tight rules on what you're allowed to do. And there was serious ramifications when I was active duty if you abused, and basically they would know right away because you'd set up your flight and then it would go through like 3 or 4 reviews by people checking off to make sure that, number one, you're flying your itinerary that you're supposed to, that you weren't leaving earlier than you should, you weren't doing extra costs to the government, all this stuff. Long story short, many of you have to deal with that in your corporate world. Well, there's a great article on Bloomberg this week talking about the millennials have no patience for the corporate travel policies. They basically are like, flipping the corporate travel folks the bird, basically say, we don't want to do this. We don't want to use the corporate travel policy. They want to choose their own rental car company. They want to choose their own airline. They want to choose what hotel they want to stay at. And it's really kind of a spoiled kid situation, right? So it's becoming a real problem for corporations. And corporations are trying to, because maybe usually people that travel a lot are involved in sales. They're usually pretty high performance people. You just don't get out of office and go somewhere unless you're making the company money, right? So what they're trying to do is make corporate travel more like Angry Birds or Foursquare and turn it into basically a game where you get award badges and points if you follow the company rules and so forth. So they're basically trying to make their travel websites more of a reward system for using it versus going to have to bring the hammer down on you when you don't use it. So they're just trying to bring them back into the fold. I don't know. I think if my company was big enough and we had to have a travel policy, we'd have some very simple rules. We'd basically say, find the cheapest fare. If you want to fly a specific airline, it's okay, but try to get the fare closest to what the cheapest one is. Follow have a very clear policy on travel money and all that stuff. And if you don't do that, you're fired, right? But companies, I guess, are not willing to rock the boat as much. I'm just kind of shocked that companies would roll over like this, but it's a changing time. But if you all work at a company that has strict travel policies and you have to go through corporate or through the travel agent that's been basically selected for you, love to hear you guys' thoughts on the millennials having this big issue using the corporate travel policy. Another great article is out right now is just talking about the Pentagon using DNA to combat counterfeiters. And basically they're using, and I guess this has been used by banks and a variety of different folks already, and it's called Signature DNA. It's manufactured by Applied DNA Sciences in Stony Brook, New York. And basically, they're forensic markers that are invisible to the naked eye but show up under UV light. And then basically, as contracts are written by the DoD, they can issue a specific signature to each company and product. And that way, when the products come in, they can check and make sure that it's coming from that manufacturer and something hasn't snuck into the supply system. So it's kind of cool. So far, the Pentagon has contracted with 18 suppliers to provide microcircuits marked with a custom signature DNA. Now, if you think about the DoD and microcircuits, so if you think about them buying chips, memory, and you name the type of the digital stuff that's probably being bought by DoD. Can you imagine if you've got a manufacturer that you're doing business with, and then all of a sudden some counterfeits come in and are slipped into the supply system that maybe come from China or some other place where they could be loaded with a payload. So there has to be all kinds of security basically put in place to make sure that what they're paying for from a specific company is what they're getting, and this DNA cannot be replicated or transferred into different objects. So this is kind of an interesting move, but I guess the banks have been using these to mark money in die packs and all kinds of stuff. But I had no idea that this is going on in the space. So this is kind of getting deep into the making sure that the product, it's just, like you go out and buy a product, you get either aftermarket or you get the car manufacturer, and you want to make sure that, sometimes it's better to buy the car manufacturer part versus aftermarket, and sometimes even vice versa. But usually DoD doesn't want to get aftermarket stuff that they're trying to get into their system. If you have diabetes, within the next couple of years, a new insulin inhaler could replace shots. So this is pretty cool. Inhalable insulin powder called Afrezza has showed positive results for controlling diabetes in late-stage clinical trials. The drug's maker, MNKD, reported today. So this is pretty cool. So this would be a big move for folks that don't like giving themselves a shot. It says it's more effective than the prior drugs and could cost about the same as the current injectable insulin pens, about $2,000 annually. It is taken before a meal with a small inhaler the company calls Dreamboat, causing peak insulin levels to be reached in 12 to 14 minutes, matching the insulin release in non-diabetics when they eat. The drug is also expected to be used by those suffering from type 1 diabetes, in which the body produces no insulin. The latest study involving 518 patients with type 2 diabetes showed that Afrezza helped reduce long-term blood sugar levels. So we'll see where this goes, but maybe shots will be in the past here soon. All right, there's a $199 home alarm, the size of a can of beer, and it's been developed by a company that's just a brand new startup. And this group, let me see if I can. It's basically called Canary, and I think we've talked. I don't know if we talked about this or not, but they're getting a lot of press. And if you want to get involved in this early startup that's producing this $199 home alarm, I have a link up in the show notes for you to check out. Well, one thing you don't want to do when you're on Twitter is ask for something that is of a legal substance. A Canadian oil change shop employee has been fired after police saw his tweet apparently seeking a marijuana delivery. And the Twitter user asked on social network whether a dealer could bring him drugs to his Toronto area shop, as he needed a couple hits to finish his shift. I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, this guy's changing oil and he's smoking weed. So the York police retweeted the request. They said and declared, awesome, can we come too? The shop that he worked for, Mr. Lube, told CBC News the employee was later fired. Oh, man. That, that just goes to show you that they're not always the smart ones. Oh, my gosh. Funny. Hey, Windows 8.1 shipping online and physically on October 18th. So this is good. This is fast approaching. But anyway, we'll see. I'd like to, of course, I think there's a beta release available as well. But the 8.1 is also going to ship with the Skype pre-installed. So if you're a Skype user, that's going to be preloaded. I can hear the antitrust stuff coming already. Snubbed by Google, Fiber. Mad at Comcast Baltimore seeks its own fiber. Now, here's something. If you live in Baltimore, you guys know that Comcast is your provider. They have been since 2004 because Comcast got a exclusive rights to basically provide cable to the city, and they haven't done a lot to upgrade their system, but that exclusivity basically runs out on December 31st, 2016. So Baltimore has good reason to think that competition could force Comcast to offer better or at least cheaper service. This was the case in Provo, Utah, where Google Fiber is on its way. Comcast is lowering its prices, according to a memo sent to employees revealed by DSL reports. Comcast has started offering Provo residents their digital premier channel bundle, 105 meg service, and either Affinity Voice or Xfinity Home Secure for $120 a month for 3 years. So they're trying to lock people in before Google gets there. I'd not jump on that. I would wait and wait for Google to show up and offer the better deal. Of course, Elon Musk, big news this week is he revealed his vision to build basically a supersonic train that floats on a vacuum. Basically, he revealed this in California this week. California has $9 billion in bonds set aside to build a high-speed rail between Los Angeles and San Francisco. They're spending, just so you guys know, $9 billion between LA and San Francisco. They're spending $6 billion here in Hawaii to do 23 miles. or no, 13 miles, excuse me. So if you think in California that you're going to get a high-speed rail between LA and San Francisco for $9 billion, you're crazy. But he says it's going to cost the state $100 billion. And but anyway, he basically is revealing everything about the Hyperloop, and he wants someone to build it. And he may even put up a mock-up of it. So very, very cool. You know, if anyone can come up with cool ideas, this guy can. You know, he got people lining. I saw a Tesla while I was in the mainland. Oh, oh, beautiful, beautiful vehicle. But $80,000. Sorry, can't afford it. Hey, this is great news for Roku. Roku today announced that they're going to be having some international programming on their device. Plus, it's been said that Roku now is surpassing Apple TV as the most used streaming set-top box. That's just fantastic. This is a report that was put out by Parks Associates. And it showed the number of U.S. broadband households with streaming media devices doubled since 2011. And basically, this report called Connected TV Trends and Innovation. In the report, they found that 37% of households with a streaming media device use Roku as opposed to 24% that use Apple TV. Park Associates expect the number of connected TV devices to reach 330 million by 2017. So let me just think about that. 330 million potential digital customers are going to be watching this show on the Tech Podcast channel on the Roku. At least there's going to be the percentage that are going to get there. And if you ever discovered this show, if you're new to the show or you've been listening for a long time and you discovered this show via the Roku, I'd love to hear from you. I really will. Hey, did any of you have a little internet issue today? Well, I guess Google DNS went down for about 20 minutes. So if you're using their DNS service, they had a little bit of an issue. So not too much on what exactly happened, but the open DNS servers were down again for about 20 minutes today. So no further information on that. How many of you have tried to edit text on your iPad? It's a pain. It is really, really a pain. It drives me crazy. So there's a new iOS app called Editorial for iOS. I actually saw this earlier today. I loaded it on my iPad. This program, hands down, is, if you do a lot of text editing, this is the app to get, folks. It really is. It's very, very cool, easy to use. I don't know why Apple couldn't have done something similar. All right, hey, there was a little bit of a prank going on in a Best Buy. Someone put together a black box, and you guys are going to kick out of this. And I don't know if anyone actually went to the checkout counter, but someone put a useless plastic black box on the basically on the shelf, and basically the tag says useless plastic box 1.2 model SH17 SKU 109780. Another gadget you don't really need. Will not work once you get it home. New model out in 4 weeks. Battery life is too short to be of use. Manufacturer's warranty. There's no warranty with this piece of crap. If you're dumb enough to buy it, you deserve to get it. Cost is $99.99. And it's just a plastic black box with nothing in it. But anyway, they had some videos and stuff, so I'll let you guys have a little fun with it on the website. But imagine you look at it and you're like, useless black box. That's worthy a second look. Well, those of you that are space fans, listen up. It's big here. We got a big one. One's getting ready to blow. There is it's called a star Nova Del 2013. It was located yesterday by an amateur astronomer. The erupting white dwarf is getting brighter and hotter as it heads for a violent nova explosion. They've been live streaming the whole stellar meltdown. So this is pretty cool. They've got a lot of discussion about this thing, but I don't know how long these types of events take. But the 13 minutes of video that I watched was pretty cool. So I'll have the link up in the show notes for you to check out. Now, I pray that none of you will ever be faced with a situation where you have a loved one in a hospital that has been hurt, who is unconscious, who is not responding to stimuli. There's this syndrome called locked-in syndrome. This is where a person with a fully functioning brain is trapped in a completely paralyzed body. For all of us, that's very terrifying. Physicians and researchers have struggled for years to establish an objective way to determine a level of consciousness that doesn't require the patients to express themselves through some form of muscle movement. New research could hold the solution with a technique that directly quantifies brain activity by measuring its response to a magnetic coil. Researchers discovered that active neural pathways in the brain can be stimulated by holding a magnetic coil up to the patient's skull. By measuring how much of the brain responded to this electrical impulse in unconsciousness in locked-in patients, they were able to establish a 0 to 1 scale. A score higher than 0.44 indicates that the person's conscious, while readings below 0.31 indicates an unconscious brain. Now, while this technique has only been tested in a small group of patients, quantifying consciousness could revolutionize our ability to better treat things like stroke and traumatic brain injury. And it could finally give doctors a reliable tool to determine what's going on in a paralyzed or unconscious patient's brain. So this is an interesting move here, and one that has significant ramifications. I guess they can tell whether or not you're brain dead or not. But have a link up in the show notes for you to check out. Hey, it used to be operating systems, Mac versus PC. Now it's mobile fanboys. I have an Android. I have an iOS. I have a Windows Phone. I have a BlackBerry. So Nick Bradbury has a pretty cool post talking about I'm kind of sick about the mobile fanboys. Are you guys a fanboy? I think we all are to a certain extent. Quantum computing and teleportation is something that fascinates me. Quantum physics is a topic that really can make your brain hurt in a big way. But scientists are a little bit closer to faster computing and better encryption after 2 experiments discovered the first ways to reliably use quantum teleportation to transfer information. Now, yes, listen to this. Quantum teleportation involves quantum entanglement, in which 2 separate particles have an effect on one another. For example, if particle A is measured to be spinning up, it will cause particle B to assume a state where it is spinning down. If you know the state of particle A or B, you can infer the state of the other particle. So that allows the communication information without actually physically transferring it through through the air or cable. The particles remain in place while influencing one another. Different particle states can represent ones and zeros of binary code, and of course that's used in today's computing telecommunication to encode information. Strings lots of those together, and you can form words, commands, and other data. So this is pretty cool stuff here. Quantum teleportation. Sounds pretty crazy. As this stuff gets more complex and we start to break down some barriers, it's going to be really, really, especially if you can separate those 2 items by long distances, it's big. You instantly have a reaction. Let's say those devices are 1,000 miles apart. Or how about from here to the moon, or from here to Pluto, or here to the next galaxy, where there can be in sync communications. It's there's all kinds of stuff here, folks, that are possible. So the stuff from science fiction is coming true. Tracking the International Space Station with metal coat hangers. They've got a web app for this, so you don't have to go out and build an antenna in your yard. But if you are, I'm going to link you to a guy that has one. And it's a cool science project. But I don't know I think I'll just go to the web app and see where the International Space Station is. I'll have to link up in the show notes. Hey, with CBS still blacked out on Time Warner, interest in Arrow is up. Arrow is seeing a spike in subscribers here since the CBS blackout. So that just tells you something there, doesn't it? Go ahead, Time Warner. Keep fighting with them. If you've got a MacBook Air, boy, oh boy, it's more and more people are having issues with their batteries. And talking about battery capacity dropping, if you've had a Mac Air for at least a year and you've been using your Mac a lot, you probably have lost as much as 15% of the capability and charging capacity in your Mac. Now, I've got a Mac, a Pro here, that doesn't have a removable battery pack. That is basically, we're going to have to take it to Apple and have it replaced. I remember my first Mac Pro, I could just pop the battery out the bottom and put a new one in. But now you have to take them and get them updated. Scoville has a good article about learning more about our advertising future with Google Glass, and pretty good interview here with some folks at AdStage. And I'll have that link up in the show notes for you to review. But definitely the world's going to change as we start wearing connected equipment like Google Glass. And they basically having advertising shoved at us based upon our location and so forth. Facebook is introducing something called Facebook Payments. It's a test. It isn't a PayPal competitor. It's a companion that fills in billing info. So no matter what people say, anytime anyone has an online e-commerce system that's taking money other than PayPal, they're trying to compete with PayPal. But this is something that could be coming to Facebook soon. Microsoft Kinect and $150 software transforms ordinary surfaces into touchscreens. So basically, you can use the Kinect, a projector, and a wall to actually make the wall a touchscreen. You can project images up to 45 inches. So this is pretty cool. And this could really be an interesting thing when it comes to different type of interactivity boards and so forth. So we'll see where this leads, but very cool stuff. Definitely some niche case uses. I found something over on VentureBeat today, and my company's virtual. My team is spread out all over the place, and there's a company that has basically launched a product called Slack. They signed up 8,000 companies in 24 hours, and Slack is an internal communication tool for distributed teams. Basically, a Yammer in a sense. The goal is to bring all your company's communications together in one place, from email, instant messages, text messages. It has Yammer-like tools with corporate internet wikis and more. And I tell you, based upon what I've seen so far, and it's going to be very hard to get in here because they don't think they'll be able to accommodate all the people that signed up for the beta anytime soon. But Slack is going to be could be a major player here in the business market. So I'll keep you guys advised on this. We'll keep an eye on this in this particular project. AOL just bought Adapt.tv. Boy, oh boy, there's a damning article in Adweek basically saying Adapt.tv has a major problem with suspect inventory, says buyers and researchers. And I mean, AOL may have been bought a lemon here. Basically, some folks are saying that these folks have all kinds of suspicious activity with the advertising campaigns they're running, bots and so forth, being accused. So, boy, oh boy, if they got a $405 million for building a business that was basically driving revenue from bots clicking on banners and stuff, these guys have really done a fast one on AOL, and shame on AOL for not basically going in and being able to see doing their due diligence on this company. If you're a Salesforce customer, there was a data leak that's being blamed for nearly 5 hours of severe disruption for Salesforce customers last week. Users running their application on Salesforce EU3 instance experienced blackouts in internet service for about 5 hours on the 5th of August. So Salesforce went and confirmed what happened, only say that they had an outage. I talked earlier a little about Google, and they're basically knowing us better than we know ourselves. But Google has indicated that they're going to be interrogating its users' Gmail, Google Calendar, and Google Plus accounts to try to predict the questions they enter in Google search, basically uh, bringing the golden goose to Google by presenting stuff that is going to make them money. So I'll have a link up in the show notes on this as well. We kind of covered it earlier. Google's going to follow Amazon with auto encryption of cloud data. So if you have anything up on the cloud with Google, they're going to encrypt it. And sadly, NASA is going to be abandoning repairs on the Kepler Space Telescope. And they're trying to figure out how can they use this thing without it being stabilized. But they do feel that the Earth 2 may be hiding an unexamined data from the injured Kepler. They've got a lot of stuff to look over that basically the time it's spent in space, but they don't feel they're going to be able to recover the satellite. And also, there's a new form of carbon said to be strongest material ever found. That's kind of a big statement. Researchers from Rice University have calculated the properties of a little studied form of carbon known as carbene, C-A-R-B-Y-N-E, and they determined that it should have a specific strength surpassing that of any other known material. That includes graphene, the long-standing title holder for strongest material, which the researchers say is only half as stiff as carbene. Carbene and graphene are actually alike in several ways. Both come from carbon, and both are only a single atom thick. So carbene was previously detected in interstellar dust and meteorites, and obtaining it on Earth hasn't been easy. And researchers have figured out how to chemically synthesize it, but only have recently been able to create strands of the material that reach up to 44 atoms long. So this is not like something that's going to come on the market anytime soon. And if you want to get some Chromecast wallpapers, those are available. There's in the developers edition. I have a link up to you on how you can do that. All right, let me get the email opened up here. Let me see where we at on time. We're just about okay. I don't know what's come in mail here, so let's look. Our last show was a week ago from today on the 8th. And okay, so hey John, his subject of the email starts out, "For the love of God." He said, "It's not a logarithm, it's a logarithm." Love your show, but your English is horrible. Should have spent some of those days in school in language classes. Hey, I grew up in a little small country town. The school wasn't that big. We didn't have language classes. We had English. So I've been listening for nearly as long as you've been podcasting, and this is the only thing I would complain about. You make light of it, Toddisms, but I haven't got to the point where I've turned your show off but I have gotten to the point where I have turned off your show because of your mutilation of the English language. You obviously are an educated man, but your English is so deplorable, you sound like an 8th grade dropout. Sorry for the criticism, but I'm catching myself screaming at my computer while your show is on at all your flubs. It used to be funny, but now it's just sad. John in Atlanta. P.S. If you're living in Hawaii, you don't call the mainland lower 48. It's only lower if you live in Canada or Alaska. We call it the lower 48 here. I don't know why, but we do. Got an email here from Richard. Pirate Bay releases pirate browser to thwart censorship. Thanks for you sending me that over, Richard. And I got an email from Alan. He said, "Hey, Todd, I hate to tell you, but the God mode thing you talked about in the show was old. I wrote about it like 3 years ago. Not sure it was on GNC. The same trick works on Windows 8 and 8.1 as well, Alan." All right, that's going to wrap us up here, and I hope I didn't destroy the English language tonight too bad, but tis what it is. And when you're doing, hey, there's a lot of stuff going on here. And what happens is you not always focus directly on the content. You're doing different things, trying to talk, try to move. That's where the big guys, the radio guys, don't have to have the distractions. And obviously they have a better command of the English language. But I'll be honest with you. Maybe the show could be twice the size it is now, but we're still keeping the lights on, right? Paying the bills, keeping the family fed, and that's the most important part. And it just goes to prove that if I can do it, anybody can do it, right? And probably do it better than I do. I am not so humble to say that someone can't do it better than I can. Even after 880, 82 or 881 episodes? What are we at? 882. So don't forget about our sponsors. We hope that you'll get over to GoDaddy and check them out and pick up a product or two. Definitely use our promo codes GO32OFF1 or get a .com for $2.49 by using the promo code GEEK249. Don't forget about that free private registration for $4 using free2. And of course, we want to thank you for being here. Don't forget you can reach out to me really a multiple of ways. On Twitter at Geek News. The email address is geeknews@gmail.com. Of course, our hotline is 619-342-7365. Look forward to being on this coming Saturday with a rep from Stitcher. And lots to talk about what they're doing in the space from a podcasting standpoint, new media space. So if you want to join that, it starts at 9 a.m. Pacific Saturday morning or 6 a.m. Honolulu Standard Time. Yes, I do get up at 5 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday to be ready to do that show. But glad to be back with you. Don't think I'm going anywhere anytime soon. I think everything else from here on out is going to be able to be done via the intranets. And we'll keep you advised. Everyone, thanks for being here. Everyone, take care. We'll see you next time. Aloha. And those of you on YouTube, we want to thank you for being here tonight and watching the show. And we're going to bring the stream down at this time. Thanks for being here, buddy. Aloha.